Let's move on to main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Our second topic is going to come from David D. Good morning, everyone. I know I'm late, but I finally watched the SheHulk trailer.
Well, it only came out yesterday. Yeah. You're not that late.
They really enjoyed it. My one kind of problem with it is that the CGI didn't look great to me. It looked pretty good on Abomination, but on SheHulk herself, not so much. Am I just nitpicking here, or was it lacking a bit? Also, I know you liked it, but were there any things about the trailer that didn't work for you?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, David. Now, obviously, yesterday during the John Campea Show, the SheHulk trailer dropped. And I'm not going to lie to you. I really enjoyed it a lot. So we're going to hear from Erin and what she thought of the trailer here in a second. She wasn't here yesterday, of course. But I wanted to break down with you then the things that really worked for me about it. I'm going to talk about 5 things that really worked for me about this, and then 3 things that bothered me about the trailer. And overall, I love the trailer. I did. So let's first talk about the 5 things that I really like. We're going to go back over in the double dose of Campea Classroom today. First thing I'm going to say is this. Dialogue. I love the dialogue. The dialogue was quick. It was snappy. It all felt natural. When 2 different people were talking to each other in the trailer, it felt like it just flowed. It felt natural. Like, I really feel like whoever wrote the series really had a great sense of touch and time with the dialogue, and the dialogue all really worked for me. And often, dialogue in a trailer doesn't stand out to me that much. In this one, it really did. Second thing that I really loved about it is tone. We were talking about this yesterday. We said a long time ago that when the SheHulk show that's coming, whatever, man, you do an Ally McBeal kind of procedural with a superhero in it, that would be so cool. That's exactly the tone we got in it. Yeah. And I loved it. And while a lot of Marvel movies and things like that try to be funny, none of them have had that kind of a tone. And so it was very different and kind of unique. And so I really liked the tone. Third thing I loved about it was the humor. I thought the humor was killer throughout the whole thing. Everything from the subtle jab at Batman, like all superheroes are rich and narcissistic. And for some reason, what did they say? Adult orphans.
Orphans, yeah.
For some reason, adult orphans. I loved that. That was great. The whole line, like Hulk going, yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Like, that was awesome. The dating stuff was so good in it. So I loved the humor of it. The other thing I loved about it, you knew I was going to say Tim Roth or Abomination. I misspelled it, but Abomination. That's so what happens. You're trying to host and type at the same time. Abomination.
I liked Abomination. The YouTube crossover.
You guys know I've been wanting them to bring back Abomination ever since my MCU film that Edward Norton co-starred with me in. I just think he's a fantastic potential foil for the MCU. I love the character. I love seeing him pop up in Shang-Chi. I love Tim Roth. So just the fact that he's going to be there, and it looks like somebody that she's going to be defending. Like, I just assumed, I think a lot of us did, when the news came out that he was going to be in, we thought he was going to be the villain, but it looks kind of like she's going to be his defense attorney, which I think is fabulous. I mean, I don't know if that's for sure, but whatever. But the 5th thing is this. I was afraid if they did do the Ally McBeal thing, it would get away from kind of what needs to be at the heart of a lot of comic book movies, which is some good, exciting action. But the trailer makes it look like, yeah, they're not going to skimp on the action. It looks like they're going to have a good sense of that too. So those are the things that stood out to me most about Hulk, or SheHulk, I should say. Let me talk about a couple of bad things though, all right? First thing that really bothered me about it is Hulk. You guys know that I love Hulk in the MCU until the Russo brothers got their hands on him. And I love what the Russo brothers have done in the MCU. Don't get me wrong. My one thing that I don't like that they did was the neutering of Hulk. In the MCU, Hulk was the nuclear bomb. He was the guy, even up until the very beginning of Infinity War, the one guy that could actually stand and go toe-to-toe and throw punches with Thanos. I mean, he was the whole point of Loki's plan. It's like, just plant the Hulk in the middle of them and he'll take them all out. Like, he's the nuclear option. He's become so neutered now to just the quippy jokes of Banner. And I love Mark Ruffalo's quippy jokes as Banner. I do. But I like to see him do it as Banner, not as Hulk. I want the real Hulk back. And it looks like they continue to diminish. While I thought the Hulk's role in this trailer was good, it looks like the series continues the MCU pattern of just diminishing Hulk more. So I don't know. Maybe they'll rectify that at some point. The second thing I did not like, going back to what our viewer wrote about, was the CGI. Now look. There are 2 things I think we have to understand about the CGI. Number one, this is a TV show. It does not have the budget of a movie. Now, let's go to my one shot on this because I want everybody to hear me on this, all right? Whenever I bring this up, people say, but John, don't you know that the budget of the MCU show is the same as blah, 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 blah movie? Yeah, but what you're not understanding is it's about how many dollars per hour are being spent. Because, yeah, you could have a TV show where the budget was $150 million, but that $150 million had to produce 6, 7, or 8 hours of programming. Whereas in a movie, that $150 million goes into 2 hours of a movie. And so on a per hour basis, you're talking about these TV shows have less than half, sometimes 1/3 of the budget of a movie. So if you go into one of these TV series thinking you're going to see absolute movie level effects, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Also, I want to point out this. She-Hulk is really still just a human who is green and larger. She's not even as misformed as Hulk is. Like Hulk changes and everything. It's still her. That means the uncanny valley effect comes into effect, right? Because with Thanos, he doesn't even look human. So it doesn't make our brain feel weird trying to look at it. But with Tatiana Maslany, good Canadian kid, by the way, she is supposed to just be a human face. And now we're looking at something that our brain is trying to perceive as just a regular human being walking around. So there's a little bit more of an uncanny valley effect there. So between the uncanny valley effect, plus the fact that this does not have the budget of a movie, you're going to have to understand the effects won't be there. It ultimately won't really matter. Because at the end of the day, when The Phantom Menace came out, there had never been, with CGI characterization, ever been a bigger advancement in the world than Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks was, and went from visual effects, was an absolute triumph. Did not help at all. And so, yeah, I agree. I think the CGI, at least the CGI on Abomination looked really good. But the CGI on She-Hulk, again, I had the uncanny valley effect too. It does look a little off-putting in the trailer. I think once we start watching it in the show, our brains will just adjust to it and we'll be fine. And then it's either going to be good or it's not going to be good. But I don't think it'll have anything to do with CG. But still, CG was a weak point to me. Guys, we want to take a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Now, you guys have all already heard about ExpressVPN. I've talked about it a number of times in my videos. It's the best way to protect your privacy online and to give you that security online that we all need. And there's another practical reason why viewers of this show love using ExpressVPN. Take Netflix, for example. You see, thousands of shows on Netflix are only available outside of the US, so you need to change your country if you want to access them, and ExpressVPN lets you do just that. Because what the ExpressVPN app does is it encrypts your data and reroutes it through server locations of your choice. This not only protects your data, but it also lets you control which country you want Netflix to think that you're in. ExpressVPN lets you choose from over 90 different countries, so every time you run out of stuff to watch, you can just fire up the app on your laptop or smart TV, switch your country, and hit connect. And once you refresh your page, you'll get a brand new selection of shows. It's just that simple. And those reasons and many more is why ExpressVPN is the #1 rated VPN provider by publishers like TechRadar and The Verge. So guys, visit expressvpn.com/Campea right now and get 3 extra months of their service for free. That's expressvpn.com/Campea. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more. And the last thing that really bothers me about this is really a bigger point about the MCU as a whole, and that is the normalization of the extraordinary. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this before, that one of the things that I've always worried about with big shared cinematic universes, I've been saying this since the movie blog days, is that the awe and wonder of Christopher Reeve's Superman or of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is that we're encountering a being and a character that is unlike anything else in the world. It is the extraordinary within the mundane. And I said, I'm just worried we're going to get to a point now where every 7-Eleven is going to have 5 superheroes on the roof patrolling for crime at night, and there's going to be nothing special about any of these characters anymore. Well, once we come into this trailer now, it's like, oh, cool, She-Hulk. Hey, and reporters want to interview them, and even a lawyer saying, we're creating a division for superpowered things. Like, one of the things I was kind of worried about with the MCU is now really coming to fruition in this trailer. There's no longer anything special about the superheroes. There's nothing special about them anymore. You walk out onto the street in the world of the MCU, there's 7 superheroes standing around. It is the normalization of what is meant to be extraordinary. You know, when Iron Man came out, Iron Man 1, there was nothing else in the world like Iron Man. When Captain America, the first Avenger, there was nothing else in the world like Captain America. And so this trailer again just made it feel, yep, this is just now the world. There's nothing extraordinary. And one superhero is just another superhero. And that disappoints me. So yeah, while I love the trailer and I listed all those things I like, the Hulk stuff really disappoints me a bit. The CGI is a little off-putting when you're watching in the trailer. And to me, it just looks like, again, the normalization of the extraordinary. So those things for me. Erin, I want to go over to you. We didn't have a chance to talk to you about the trailer when it came out. I have not asked you about it at all. What did you think about the trailer just in general? And what worked for you and didn't work for you?
You know what? I loved it. I thought, as you said, it was so much fun. The tone of it was fantastic. I was a big fan of Ally McBeal when it first was airing. And there is something really unique about the dialogue that it sounds just like the way that it's almost as if the writers just went to a bar at happy hour and just wrote down conversations that they were hearing people have. It felt very natural. It felt very flow. I love the way she looks. And I'm not talking about the CGI. I'm talking about her actual physical form.
Just the design of her.
Right, because I was expecting a Bruce Banner Hulk version, like just a grotesque monster that just happened to be, quote, female. I like the fact that she looks like a shapely female bodybuilder. She looks like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And I actually really like that because I think that that's just going to have first of all, it's going to help her agility, which I think is going to be great for the action scenes. Because let's be honest, Hulk is really powerful and he's really strong, but he doesn't have a lot of dexterity, you know? I mean, he's got Hulk smash and that's kind of where it stops. Whereas her, I can imagine that she could be very acrobatic. She could do lots of really cool things, and I'm thrilled with her shape in that I think that she's gonna be able to do a lot more things other than just She-Hulk smash.
Well, I mean, in the movies, Hulk is pretty quick and pretty fast.
I'm not talking about speed. I'm talking about agility and dexterity.
Yeah.
Exactly. And flexibility and things like that. So I was really thrilled with just how her physical form was presented. And I know that this was on one of your pros. And yes, it was cute. And the first time I watched it, I was like, but then like five minutes later, I was thinking about it. I go, really? We have this brilliant lawyer who can, and now has this ability to transform, and she's related to Bruce Banner, and she's got all these really cool things going on for her. But at the end of the day, it's still, but I want a boyfriend. And so I'm going to really have to watch the show. I just go, wow, like, we don't know if Bruce wants a girlfriend. We don't know if Bruce has a girlfriend or a wife or whatever. It's just he's happy being a really brilliant scientist who's great at his job and happens to transform into Hulk. I just would love for her to be able to just be a really brilliant lawyer and not be worried about when she's going to get a boyfriend. And it's a little bit, it's just tired for me. I feel like that is a narrative that we hear more often than not. And we've seen with Captain America, I don't know if she's got a partner. I mean, maybe I missed something, but her job is like, her whole focus is, I'm worried about saving the world and multiple worlds and multiple universes. And that's what we love about her. It's not just about, I want to go on Tinder and get a boyfriend. So that was a little bit of a thing, but it wasn't big enough for me to go, oh, I hate this show. It's just a little sticker for me. But again, I loved the trailer. I loved the tone. And I will 100% be watching this, and we'll see how that whole story plays out. Maybe it won't bother me.
I guess maybe one of the reasons why I like that aspect of it so much, well, two parts. One is because it is very Ally McBeal-ish.
Very true.
But also, and I will include you in this, because I knew you prior to being married, is that...
There was a time that I wasn't... married to Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
No,
a
you're
time.
You're right.
We call those the before times.
The TBT, time before
but
Tom.
Like, especially in LA, any of my female friends I talk to about dating life and everything, dating is a nightmare here.
That's true. That
Dating
is true.
is well, like when me and my friends were in their 20s, dating in their 20s is horrible. Then in their 30s, dating in my 30s is horrible. So it's like I found it somewhat relatable because it's like I've had those conversations in my life. So it kind of
And maybe that's why I didn't like it, was because it was a little too
familiar?
traumatizing. It was too close to home. It reminded me too much of my 30s, and I was like,
I'm not gonna lie to you. There was this one time, me and Erin, I think we were in San Diego. I think one time, and I remember saying to her, said, because she was single. I said, my friend, sure, is single and a super great dude. And I think you're like, and I don't know if you remember the conversation.
I have no idea who we're talking about.
If it comes to you, don't say that.
I won't.
But she looked at me, she was, oh, John, your friend, sure, is adorable, but I would eat him alive. I'm like, yeah. Jeez. Yeah, you probably would. And so, yeah.
I will say, as much as I don't want to relive my single days, I did single pretty darn well. If I do say something. Anyway,
Chris,
I'm starting to blush. Let's go to Chris.
Now there were about 24 hours, really only about 18 hours removed from seeing the SheHulk trailer. What are things that stood out to you that you liked and maybe some things that didn't work for you?
Ooh, well, I'd love to jump off of some of the points y'all brought up.
Sure.
Because one of the things that I think if they do it well, that can work here with that dating life thing, is that when she transforms into She-Hulk, she also lowers her inhibitions and she gives more into her id and all of those just instinctual like desires. So if this is about Jennifer just like cutting loose and being like, no, I'm going to go on Tinder and I'm going to get laid right now.
Yeah.
I think that's something a little different than I want a boyfriend. If they make it like an empowering thing, if they play with that a little bit, I think there's potential here. I also like the law firm because that's part of the comic. She worked at a law firm.
Well, if I want Ally McBeal, it's got to be law firm.
But Jerry Holloway worked at the law firm that she initially worked for, which I don't think we're going to have that kind of Daredevil crossover, right? But I love that little snippet is in there, maybe connecting Matt to Jennifer here, bringing in some of those things, tying up the MCU a little bit. The one thing that I did have an issue with that I talked about yesterday and gave it grace was, I thought there was some issues with the CGI, but I think you're right. It's the uncanny valley aspect. And Jim here in the chat too also pointed out something that made me go, oh yeah, maybe that's it. Her skin is just so smooth.
Very smooth.
It's very smooth. It's very Instagram
But if you look at her in the comics,
that's how she looks.
That's how she looks. Yeah.
But I think that might be part of that uncanny valley thing, though. Of
Sure.
Skin's textured. What is this? But I mean, that's how she's supposed to look. She's a green, like 7 foot tall woman.
But and there's a line in the trailer where the one woman says to her, "Your ass looks so amazing right now," and then. Like, I don't know if everybody caught this, but once the one lady says that, the camera smash cuts to She-Hulk, and she strikes that classic She-Hulk pose.
Yep.
So, like, Marvel's been doing really good, whether it was the Ms. Marvel trailer, where she's like that classic shot where she's sitting on top of the post looking over the city, right?
Yes.
They've been slipping in these classic, iconic shots.
Well, I think that's what they're really doing well here is that they are marrying these things for people. If you are a hardcore fan of Marvel Comics, there are these delicious little Easter eggs for you. Where you're like, yes, that's exactly from this page, this issue. I love that. But they're still making it accessible, I hope, because we talked about that too of, are we going to end up in a gatekeeping kind of fandom here where you have to watch everything to be a part of it? And these shows look like they're extremely accessible because they are shifting through genres and working with being more meta or playing with more humor or doing other things that we haven't necessarily seen to make all of our audiences happy without compromising anything, hopefully. I'm basing this off of a trailer. I could watch this and be like, this is dog shit. But I hope it's not.
You know what? I want to ask, just so we didn't ask, and I actually put a camera up on producer Jonathan. I want to ask Jonathan, I just quick, what did you think of the trailer, Jonathan? Well, there, and the camera we set up froze.
There we go. It froze me. I was stunned. I couldn't even move. I mean, look at I'm just
It's like eyes fixated on the screen. We'll have to get that fixed. But I'm glad it had that impact on you. All right. So much for technology. Guys, question is for you. You've had a few hours now to soak in. And what did you think about that She-Hulk trailer? What are some of the things that really stood out to you that you liked? But even if you loved it, maybe what are some of the things in it that didn't work out so well for you? Whatever you guys think it is, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there.